Hi guys! Today I'm going to show you a kind of a, I don't even know what to call it, to be honest. It's like a boho-y type, but it almost looks like peacocky kind of thing. I'm going to show you how to do that, but before I do that I just want to clear something up. I have actually closed down my Facebook group. I say I've closed it. Facebook is a bit stupid, and to completely close a Facebook group down you have to remove every single member one by one. I started to do that and quickly realised this is going to take me hours, so what I did was put the group on pause, so anybody that is actually left in the group won't be able to use it in any way, and I removed all the admin and myself, so it's out of operation, let's put it that way. So if you were removed, don't take it personally. That's what I was going to do to close the group down, and then realised it was going to take too long. So you didn't offend me, I'm not upset with anybody, I just wanted to do it because it was taking over too much in my life and I just needed to focus on other things. I think I'm one of those people that because it was my group I felt like I always had to be in there, and it just got too much for me, guys, so I closed it down. Anyway, let's get to the tutorial then. So I've got all my clays ready and I'm using a mix of Premo and Cernit today. Now this one here is Cernit Metallic Copper, followed by some Cernit Pearl from the Pearl range, Cernit Pearl Green, Premo Silver, Premo Pearl Purple, that's a mouthful, Premo Pearl Purple, and then another little piece of the Cernit Pearl from the Pearl range, and I've just rolled them into very rough teardrop shapes because that's going to become a Skinner blend, and we'll get back to that. You're also going to need some alcohol inks. I'm kind of mirroring the blue and the purple in the clay, so I'm going with this Cernit Violet Bluish and this one by Ranger, which is the pool colour. You can get your clay, well I get my clay from Blueberry Beads along with the Cernit alcohol inks. I will leave a link in my description for their shop. You'll also need some UV resin. This is the one I use. This is listed in my Amazon storefront and it's the J. Diction hard type, and that one's listed in my Amazon storefront. And then a selection of embossing powders. I've got 3 of those wow ones. Wow. These are also listed in my Amazon, and I'm using the metallic silver, metallic gold, and then the metallic copper. And then I've got these other ones as well. I might not use all of these colours, we'll see how we get along, but I've got these ones as well in blues and a purple, again to mirror the colours of the clay. And there was a whole load of these in a set, so I think they're listed in my Amazon. If they're not, I will list them, and they're pretty inexpensive as well. You'll also need some Kato liquid translucent clay because I am actually going to seal my pieces with this as opposed to resin, and I'll show you how to do that obviously when we get close to it. I'm not going to talk about it now, but when we get there I'll explain. So you'll need some of that. I haven't tried it with Sculpey, but I'm guessing it would probably do something similar. You'll also need a distressed, well this is a distressed embossing pen, but any embossing pen. These are listed in my Amazon storefront, obviously cutters of your choice, and a pokey tool. So they're all the things you're going to need. I don't think I've forgotten anything. Oh, and a brush, a soft paint brush. Oh, and I've already got my backing sheet rolled out and I've already textured it, and I used this texture roller from Oh Joy Creations. I will list her in her shop in the description along with any cutters that I use from her store as well. Alright, so everything's kind of ready to go. Please do excuse my very rough teardrop shapes, but you know, I'm a bit rough and ready, as you know. So I'm just going to roll these out to pass them through the pasta machine because I want to turn this into a blend, and I am just going to move some of this over there because it's in my way and I keep knocking it over. Right, so let's just roll this out quickly then, so it's thin enough to go through the machine, which I've got a new one. My lovely friend Joy sent me a Monified / Ed Street pasta machine for my birthday. It's not my birthday yet, but it came early, and it's been coloured in like a bright teal and a raspberry. It's so pretty, and oh my gosh, it's so smooth. So I'm going to pass that through my new pasta machine, and I'm going to pass it down this way, fold colour to colour, pass it back through, fold colour to colour until I've got a nice blend. So here's my blend, and I've done it quite a nice soft blend, so the colours aren't too vibrant, and that white in between that I put has toned down the colour as well, which is what I wanted. You can do it however you want to though, and obviously you don't have to use these colours. Alright, so I've got my blend. Now I'm going to get my texture roller, the spiral one that I already showed you. I'm just going to give it a damp down with this wipe though. That usually helps. This is how I do it anyway, to stop it from sticking in the clay too much. And you need a lot of pressure on this, so I'm going firm and slow because I really want a good impression. And we're basically just going to do not a Skinner blend, a mica shift at this point. Okay, so I've got that nice and impressed in there. I'm just going to get rid of that bit that didn't get any of the imprint on it, just to tidy it up a little bit. And then I'm going to get my flexible blade. Now this is the bit where you're basically shaving off the top, so it's effectively going to be a mica shift, but you want to go deep enough to get some nice full shavings. You know, so for example, if I wanted this spiral, I'd do it so it would be deep enough to get a nice full piece of it, but I don't want to go too deep because I still want that mica shift effect underneath, and I think I may have gone too deep there. Yes, I did. So I'm just going to pop that back. See, you can do that if you feel like you've gone too deep. Try again. And I'm not saying I'm going to get full pieces from all of my cuts, but something like that, so you've got a pretty nice decent piece that you can use. I'm going to put that to one side, but you can see that I've still got that mica shift effect underneath. That bit there is smooth now because I've shaved off the top, so I'm just going to keep very carefully doing that all the way down the veneer. So I'll do a little bit more on camera, then I'll just go off camera and do the rest because you don't need to see me do the whole thing. And it's better, it's better to hold your blade with your thumbs a little bit closer rather than out here. You get a bit more control that way. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to rescue this piece now. And I'm just kind of shimmying the blade because I'm really trying my hardest to keep some of these pieces. And that one's a little bit screwed up, so I might not be able to use that one, but we'll see. And again, you've left that mica shift impression underneath. For those of you who don't know what a mica shift is, you basically, when you're passing the clay through the pasta machine, you're making all the mica powder particles that are in metallic clays and pearlescent clays all go in one direction. You must always fold in the same direction. So all the mica particles are going all in one direction, and when you come to slice it, the mica particles are then being dragged in the opposite direction, so to speak, which leaves you this ghost pattern. So it looks like it's raised, but it isn't. That's just a very quick explanation. I'm sure somebody else like Blue Bottle Tree could explain a little bit deeper than that, but that's how I would define it. There's another nice piece. Let's get a little bit of this. This bit here, I don't think this bit here is perhaps deep enough. It's okay. And because you've done a blend as well, you're actually going to pick up some of the other colours that have gone into the next colour, which is kind of nice. So don't worry if you don't get complete whole pieces on every bit. I'm obviously not going to. You don't need that many. So I'll just do this one more on camera, and then I'm going to go off and do the rest off camera until all of this has been shaved off. I've shaved all those bits off now, so I'm left with this relatively smooth veneer. Like I say, this is a mica shift, and ordinarily what you do is then cut your pieces out, bake them and sand and buff, and it really brings those beautiful shines out, but we're not doing that. We're going a bit beyond that. Okay, so I'm just going to get some paper. I'm just going to give this a very quick burnish, not too much at this point, because we're going to add more stuff to it and we can burnish again. I just want to make sure it's nice and clean and relatively smooth, and that will do. Oh, by the way, I rolled this Skinner blend onto the thickest setting with my pasta machine. Obviously it's not that thick now because I've taken the top layer off, which is why you need a backing sheet, which, as you know, I've already done. Alright, so I've got my veneer and I've got some of these pretty little shavings that I managed to rescue. Let's take this one. Now this has got the blue going into the copper, so I don't really want to put it on top of the blue or the copper. I want it to stand out more, so I'm going to place it on this area. Let me just get rid of that bit, I don't like that, so it stands out more. I'm just going to remove that little bit, guys, because I don't like that bit there. Alright, so just take those very delicate pieces and gently just press them onto the veneer on a contrasting colour. You don't want it to get swallowed up in the blue, you want to be able to see it. And you can put as many of these on as you want to. I'm not going to cover the whole thing in these because obviously I still want some of this underneath to show through. Now this is going purple into blue, so I'm going to place that like that so it stands out, and I'm just going to take this little bit off, press that down on there, and I've got this really cool piece here, if I can get it without breaking it, and I'm just going to pop that on that blue so that again that stands out like so. Just give that a little press. I've got another one of those. I really like this one, this colour. So let's put that there, like so. And I'm thinking I don't really want too much more on here because I don't want to completely cover these spirals underneath, but I will just add a couple more. And I really like this big piece here though, that's the thing. Oops. I suppose I could just separate it a little bit and just be left with a smaller spiral, and I'll just put that here. And I think that's all I'm going to do. Actually, I'm just going to get this one last little piece. So that's all you do, guys. You take those little shavings and place them where they look good on the veneer, and you can do as many as you want to. I think I'm good with that, although I'm looking at this piece. No, that's fine. No, I'm good, and I'm just going to ball this up and use it as backing or something. Just mix all my scrap colours together to make a different colour. Alright, so I've placed those little bits on there, and that's as easy as that really. But I am going to give it a good burnish now, but I'm just going to lift it first because I don't want it to be too stuck to the tile because it's already been burnished a little bit and rolled on and everything else. So I'm just lifting it and placing it back down like so, because sometimes it can be extra sticky and not want to come off the tile. Alright, so I'm going to get my piece of paper, I'm going to get a clean piece, and I'm going to grab my steel soap, again, this is listed in my Amazon storefront, and this is ideal for burnishing, and that just means I'm using this as pressure over the veneer to smooth out any lumps and bumps. That's all burnishing means, really. You can put quite firm pressure on it because you really want to try and get it all smoothed out. I mean, you could even use your roller a little bit if you wanted, but I don't really like to do that because it can tend to stretch it, but you can do that, and you could just perhaps do this with it, but I find this a lot easier. So I'm giving this a jolly good burnish. Like so. Lift it periodically to see how smooth it is. I'm just going to feel with my fingers. Just a little bit more, I think. Whoops. Just a little bit more. And I think that's good. So it's a very simple veneer, but you've got all these lovely colourful spirals coming through, and then you've got these on top. And I did forget something, guys, so just give me a second and I'll be back. Derp. Completely forgot about these little pieces. I just got to this stage and I thought, oops. But all I've done is roll out a sheet of translucent. This is rolled onto a number 4, 0 being my thickest setting on my Atlas 150, and this is rolled out on the very thinnest setting, which on my machine is a 9. I've got another little plug of translucent here, and I've got some white clay rolled onto a number 4, and I'm just going to wrap this up in the white clay, and that's all there is to it for that one, other than to reduce it a little bit. It's just to add a little bit of extra something to the veneer. So I've got my little bullseye cane here, and I'm just going to reduce it down. I'm not going to do a lace cane, but you could do a lace cane. Now people are going to ask me what a lace cane is. It's just when you roll out a log like I'm doing now, cut and restack, and then you've got loads of little canes all stuck together, and it looks like a lacy thing. I do have videos where I show you how to do those, so you could always scroll through and find them. Alright, so I'm just reducing this fairly small. I might even go smaller than that, and for this one I'm literally just going to stack the white on top of the trans like so. Oops, that's stuck. Bear with, guys, bear with. I'm just going to lift this up. Got a bit stuck to the tile. I'm just going to get rid of that little bit where it tore and that little bit there because it looks a bit raggedy. Alright, so I've got white on top of trans. I keep picking up the wrong blade. I'm just going to straighten it up like so, and I'm literally just going to stack. Watch me not cut in half. So I'm going to cut in half-ish. Stack. Like so. I'm going to cut in half again and restack. All I'm doing is making a little stripy block. It's nothing nothing exciting really. I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit, and that's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm just making a little stripy stack. That's all I'm doing. Alright, so 2 very simple canes just to embellish this piece. Alright, so I'm going to get my little stack of stripes, and I'm going to cut as thin as I possibly can. Really, really, really thin. And just pick a piece up like so. And I'm going to place it here, there and everywhere. And it can overlap those pieces that you've already put down. And actually I didn't really need to burnish, did I? Because I'm going to have to burnish this again now. But hey ho, no worries. So you can see I'm kind of, you know, making it a little squiggly. I'm not doing straight lines. You can even separate them and make it thinner. So let's just pop another one here, just kind of mirroring that curve in that one a little bit. And like I say, I'm overlapping on these bits that I've already put on, which I didn't need to burnish yet, but I already did. Let's put another bit here, and you can kind of stretch it out a little bit as you go. And because it's translucent, that colour underneath is going to show through once it's baked. Let's just take some little fragments. You don't even have to cut full strips. You could just do little fragments of this and drop it everywhere because it's really sticky. Let's just put a little bit over here and another little bit over here. Try not to break it. The problem I've got now is my fingers are like my hands are really hot actually. Whoops, don't like that bit. I'm going to get rid of that bit. And I'm going to give my fingers a wipe. They feel really hot and sticky. Okay, I'm just going to try that again. Very thin little pieces. Try and separate it without breaking it, and just do some little wispy ones here and there. And you can do as many of these as you want to. See, I don't like that bit now, and I've already smushed it. See if I can get that bit off. Okay, that's better. And then we've got another little piece here, like so. And then we can bring in this as well, and I'm just going to roll this a bit smaller actually, guys. Made way too much as usual, but that always comes in handy, simple canes like that. So I'm just going to take this down a little bit more. I just want little tiny circles, and I'm going to try and get this as thin as possible. I don't even care if they're not completely round, because obviously when you cut into it, it squishes a little bit, but you can reshape them. And I'm just going to randomly place those as well, here, there and everywhere. And you can go over the top of what you've already done, because it's translucent, and it's just going to give it some depth, because you're adding layers. And I can't even get a piece of this. There we go. So just little, you know, wherever you think looks good, and you can overlap them or not. That's really bugging me, that bit there. I'm going to have to get some rubbing alcohol on that, I think, before I mush it in anymore, just to wipe that away. There we go. Alright, let's try another couple of these. I keep picking up the wrong blade, guys. I don't need that one anymore, do I? So let me put that one out of the way so I don't keep picking it up. Let's do another little one of those, and let's pop it on top of that stripy. Like so. And I'm probably not going to do too many of those, I don't think. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go off camera and decide where I want to put some more of those little pieces, so you don't fall asleep with boredom, and I'll be back. Alright, I've done as much as I want to do on this, but like I say, you can do less or you can do more, and I've overlapped some of them as well, so there's some circles on top of the stripes, etc. So it's a little bit layered but not heavily. Alright, so I'm going to burnish it, and I'm going to burnish it again, which really I should just be burnishing for the first time here, but okay. But I just want to get those pieces that I've put on there flat and smooth now as well. And I cut them really thin, so it's not going to take a lot of effort to do that. Burnish, burnish, burnish. Oh, I've got some good news as well, guys. I forgot to say. My hubby is off work all of next week, so he's going to start doing renovations in the basement, including building me a craft room. So I'm so excited, but it means it's going to be in a bit of chaos and disarray down here, because I'm going to have to move all of my stuff over to the other side of the basement so he can start putting walls up. I will try and get a tutorial out next week, but it depends how chaotic it is. Alright, so that's nicely burnished now, and I'm thinking that's looking very nice indeed. I think I need to, have I got enough? Actually, that's probably going to be okay. So I'm going to get my backing sheet like so, and I'm going to try and lift this up without tearing it. It's pretty stuck on there. I like to just kind of shimmy my blade underneath, and it's at a slight angle. I don't know if you can see that. Just kind of seesawing it underneath there, just lift it off. There we go. Get my backing piece, make sure that's clean before I put that there, and I'm going to pop that on here like so. Let's just get rid of that excess bit there. We're not going to be using the edges anyway, are we? Just make sure I've got some backing on all of it. Just going to flip that over and cut away those, because I don't want to cut out a piece and it's got a wonky bit like that. Alright, so that's really all there is to it at this point, other than to cut out the shapes and bake them. So I'm just going to do one piece on camera, guys, but I will make some more out of this veneer so you can see at the end what I did. So let's go with this round cutter then, just for quickness and ease. Get my acrylic block, give it a wiggle like so, and there we go. And I'm just going to pop this on a piece of paper. Move this out of the way, shimmy that up, give it a little bit of a tidy, and I'm going to go and bake this. I'm going to go and bake it for an hour. Now I've mixed clays, so I know somebody's going to ask. It's perfectly fine to mix clays. Premo bakes at 275, that cures at 275 should I say, whereas Cernit cures at 265, but polymer clay does not burn until it reaches temperatures of 350. So 275 is not going to harm it at all, but you need to cure it at the higher temperature to ensure that that clay is going to cure. If I cured it at the Cernit temperature, then the Premo might be a little bit weak. So I'm going to bake this for an hour at 275, and I'll be back for the next step. Alright, this is baked, and I've quickly sanded the edges just so they're nice and smooth. And now let's move to the next step. So I've got my embossing pen, and I'm going to get my embossing powders, and I'm just going to draw a very simple design on there. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy, but you can do whatever you want on there, but I'm just going to keep with the spiral theme and just draw some little spirals on there like so, and you could do some little wiggly lines, etc. I'll just stick with the spirals for now, and then we'll do something else with a different colour of embossing powder, but I'm going to do these in the copper. So I've drawn on my little spirals, and I'm just going to liberally sprinkle that over the surface like so. Give it a little tap, and that's the pattern so far. I just like to give it a bit of a quick blow just to remove any excess. Do it on some paper so you can easily put your powder back in its little container, like so. And then obviously we need to heat set this. I'm just going to grab my heat gun. I don't know whether I mentioned already that this is in my Amazon storefront, and it's got 8 different settings on it. I'm just going to turn it to a number 6 for this, and I'm just going to quickly blast it, and you'll see as it heats up, you'll see the embossing powder change, and it becomes nice and melty and shiny. So just quickly go over that, just keep moving your heat gun around. That one's starting to change, that one's changed, and this last one changed. So now you can see how shiny that is on there. Alright, so there's that. Now let's think about something else in a different colour and a few little more squigglies and lines and such. So what do I want to do? I'm going to go here and just do a little squiggly line like so. And I'm going to go inside this little circle and just draw on the inside of it. And then I'm just going to follow this line around as well. And I think I'm going to go with the purple for this. Need my paper. Let's try it with the purple. Sprinkle that on there. Make sure you cover it completely so you don't miss anything. Tap it off. And now this purple doesn't show up until very well until I've actually heat set it. But that's that. So you can just keep playing around. You can add as many little embellishments as you want, different colours of embossing powder, etc. So let's heat set that one. Excuse me. It's that one. And that's that. Like I say, the purple isn't as obvious until you heat set it, but now you can see it. So there's that, and I think I'm just going to add one more colour, and I'm going to go with, I think, the gold. So just a few more little embellishments then. I think I'm going to go with another spiral here, and then a wiggly down here, and I'm just going to follow this little curve here in the same direction, and I'm just going to fill in one of those little circles as well. Well, not fill it in, just like a little outline circle. Same thing, coat the piece, make sure you've got all those areas covered, tap it off, give it a little blow. I'm going to put this back before I knock it and spill it everywhere. And I think that's all I'm going to do for the embossing powder on this one. Okay, so that's that. That's all I'm putting on there with the embossing powder, and I've got to let this completely cool before I add the Kato liquid clay. So I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab my brush ready. Now make sure you always stir this stuff. I usually just use like a long skewer or something just to give it a quick stir. You just need to give it a good stir, make sure it's all mixed up nice. So I've done that. I'm going to go and let this pendant cool for a few minutes and I'll be back. I actually went ahead and added a few little more details, and I used the blue and just a touch of silver here and there, just to let you know I added a little bit more. I've made some other pieces and I really liked how the blue looks, so I just went and added a few little bits of blue there. I'll show you those ones that I've made as well at the end. Alright, so when this is cooled down, I've got my liquid clay already poured out, and you're just going to get a nice soft clean brush. This is how I do it, but I do highly recommend that you go and watch Debbie Crowther's tutorial on using Kato liquid clay. It's really in-depth, detailed video, and I learned a lot from it. She does cure her liquid clay from start to finish with a heat gun. I don't. I put a coat on like this. Now I'm putting a fairly liberal coat on, but it's got to be, it's not got to be so thick that you can't see the pattern underneath. So it's a thickish coat, and I'm just brushing it on, as you can see, but you can still see that pattern underneath. I don't use the heat gun. I think it's going to take more practice because I'm actually fairly new to doing this, and I've tried it with the heat gun from start to finish, and when it's in its liquid state like this, I tend to blow it around and it causes ripples in the clay. So what I do is brush it on, like I said, and then I pop it in the oven for like 10 minutes just to partly cure it and just to heat set it so it's no longer fluid. So like so. So I'm going to pop it in the oven for 10 or so minutes, and then I'll come back and finish the cure the rest of the way with the heat gun, and that's when you get that really brilliant shine. So you can see it's quite a thick coat and it looks milky right now. This is self-leveling, so don't worry about that. Just let it sit for a few minutes before you put it in the oven so it can settle down, and then I'll come back and show you with the heat gun. Now it looks better with 2 coats. I usually do 2 coats, or maybe even 3, it depends. So I'm going to go and pop that in the oven, and I'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, I baked this for another 10 minutes in the oven, so you can see it's shiny. Sometimes it can come out still looking a little bit milky, but that's fine. But we are going to cure it the rest of the way with the heat gun. When you put this in the oven with the Kato liquid clay on, you can just bake it at your regular temperature that you bake your clay at, so because you're going to cure the rest of the way with the heat gun. So there's that. So I'm just going to get my heat gun again, and I'm going to turn it up a little bit higher to a number 7. Just give it a few seconds for it to properly heat up, and then I'm just going to blast this with the heat gun. It doesn't take long, and this is already quite shiny, but I'm going to do the heat gun anyway, and then I'm going to add a second coat. Once this is completely cooled down, I'm going to add a second coat, put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes, and do the exact same thing. Alright, so that's all you do. Any milky spots, you need to make sure they turn shiny. That way you know it's fully cured. Just keep turning it and moving your heat gun around. Like I say, watch Debbie Crowther's tutorial. It is a paid tutorial, but I will leave a link, and there is a wealth of information in that video. Alright, so there's that. You can see the shine's really coming through now. I'm going to go and let that cool down before I apply my second coat. Put it back in the oven for 10 minutes, do the exact same thing, and then I'll show you how it looks when I've finished doing that. This has had its second coat, and I deliberately left it a little bit milky so you can see the difference once I've used the heat gun on it. So like I say, once you've got that shine on there, you'll see it change from milky to shiny, and that's when you know it's fully cured. So I'll just quickly show you that. So I'm just going to hold it over, keep moving it around. It's actually an idea to put it on a tile, guys, so you can just keep moving this around. Now I'm starting to see that milkiness turn shiny. I don't know if you can see that. and there's just a little bit more there that needs to shine, and I think we are done. So this is how it looks with 2 coats, and look at the shine on that. Now if you want to go ahead and add another coat, you could. I'm just going to fill this because with the embossing powder being on it, can be a little bit raised and it might need a 3rd coat, but I think it's actually good, and it's a little bit hot to handle right now. But there we go, that's the result of the liquid clay. And honestly, resin's still going to have a place, but I'm liking this a lot. So I'm just going to go and let that cool down, and then we'll do the very last stage, and I'll be back. Okay guys, this is cooled down. I'm just going to add a few more little embellishments with some UV resin. I've already dropped a few little blobs on there and mixed in the pool and violet bluish ink into the resin. I use this resin. This is listed in my Amazon storefront. And I'm just literally going to finish by adding a few little dots here and there, like so. Again, you can put as many on as you want to. So that's the purple. I'm just going to give this a quick blast with my UV torch thing so it doesn't dribble. This is also listed in my Amazon. And then I'm going to add a few of the turquoisey blue dots here and there. So you can dress it up however you want to. And that's basically the finished piece, other than to go and fully cure this under the UV light. But I'm just going to quickly do that, just so I can show you, and that's the finished piece, guys. Alright, it's so pretty. Obviously you don't have to do all of those stages, and you could have just sanded and buffed at the mica shift point. If I was to just do a mica shift, that's what I would do. I would sand and buff it. I wouldn't resin it. There's absolutely no point in sanding and buffing just to resin. But because we had that surface treatment on there, we needed to seal it. So that's the piece, guys. And I'll just quickly show you the other ones that I did that are in the UV lights, under the UV lamp, just so you can see. So there's this one. I absolutely love this shape, and I just added the blue embossing powder and a touch of silver, and then obviously the little resin dots. So there's that one. And then pretty pair of earrings with the blue and silver embossing powders and some dots. They kind of look like peacocks, I guess. So there's those pieces, and I'll just show you another piece that I did from a different batch. I actually meant to dome this and I completely forgot, but I did dome this one. So there's that one as well. I think I prefer it domed, but they're still pretty. So there's that one as well, and then another pair of earrings that I did. Alright guys, that's all for today. Have a great weekend and happy Labor Day for those of you who live in America, and I'll catch you later. Bye.